Is God really to blame? I mean, we hear that a lot about how mean and callous God must be in his judgments against evil, right? Yet is he truly to blame? In this video, we're going to explore this question, first by conversationally reading the simple, not shallow, studied interpretation of Psalm 7, and then touching on 3 nuances that I heard that inform my answer. Ready? Here we go. Now, my name is Charles Yerkes, and this is the Simple, Not Shallow YouTube channel. And the whole purpose of this channel is to bring you digestible, compelling, and conversational insights from the Bible so that you too can develop a vital relationship with God by learning how to love simply, wisely, and well. For that is where excitement and meaning in life dwell. So, is God really to blame for what seem to be cruel punishments for evil? Well, let's begin by reading Psalm 7. Psalm 7. My Lord, my God, it is in you that I take refuge, so save me from all who persecute me. Deliver me, lest they tear my soul as would a lion. Tearing me to pieces while no one rescues me. My Lord, my God, if I have done this, if there is injustice in what I do, if I do evil to my friend, or, without cause, pillage an enemy, then allow my enemy to pursue me and to collect my soul. Allow him to trample my life into the ground, and to lay my honor in the dust of humiliation and death. So arise, my Lord, and in your anger assert yourself against the rage of my attackers. Arouse yourself for me, according to the decision of the judgment that you have commanded. And gather an assembly of the nations around you, and return your judgment upon them from on high. For the Lord will execute judgment upon the nations, calling them to account for themselves. So exonerate me, my Lord, on account of that which is in me, both righteousness and purity. Avenge the evil done by the wicked, bring it to an end. But firmly establish the righteous, as you, O righteous God, put to the test their moral character and their deepest secrets. God has undertaken my defense. He is the one who helps the righteous heart. For God is a righteous judge, and he is a God who shows his righteous anger every day. If a man will not turn and keep his whole life turned to God, God will sharpen his sword. He will bend and string his bow, making them both ready for war. He will prepare his weapons of death, and he will make his arrows into shafts of fire. So listen well. He who is pregnant with imminent disaster, who conceives harm and gives birth to that which deceives and betrays, this man has dug a pit and dug it deep. But it is he who will fall into that trap which he has made. The harm he intends will be returned upon him, and the violence he intends will descend and land upon his own head. And I will give thanks and praise to the Lord on account of his righteousness. I will praise the name of the Lord Most High. A studied interpretation of Psalm 7. Ready for some nuance? I hope so, because here we go. Now, the very first nuance that I heard comes from the phrases, calling them to account for themselves and to put to the test the moral character and deepest secrets of the righteous. See, the psalmist is asking that everyone be held accountable for the choices they have made and for the actions they have taken based upon those choices. See, responsibility for one's own choice. What a novel idea. Nuance number 2. Now this came from the words, listen well. See, before these two words, David explains how, for those not on the way that considers the advice of God, notice the little reference to Psalm 1, that is, those who are not keeping his or her whole life turned toward God, well, God prepares his weapons of war, which can sound a little harsh. Yet, after those two words, he then explains what these weapons actually are. They are the plans, the deceptions, the betrayals, the harm, and the violence that the one standing on that path plans for others. In other words, it is her own plans that are judging and pronouncing sentence upon her. See, God's weapons of war are the person's own choices. Isn't that intriguing? Now, this reminds me of something. It reminds me of Acts chapter 7, verse 42, and Romans chapter 1, verses 24 through 31, both of which speak of God giving people over to what they wanted. In other words, he honored their choices. And it is Romans chapter 1, verses 29 through 31 that explain the results of these choices. This being that the world became full of, well, some not so nice things. See, that God honors our choices is one of the great privileges extended to human beings. And with great privilege comes great responsibility. That of making a wise choice. But that choice is yours to make. Nuance. Number 3. Now this comes from the last 3 lines of the psalm, where David gives thanks to God and praise to God for God's righteousness, for such justness in judgment, for holding folks responsible for what they choose to do, himself, meaning David, and others as well. See, God honoring people's choice is part of the righteousness of God. And approaching this from a very Christian perspective, we know that right now we live in an age of grace where even though bad things happen in life, they are not God's punishments for not walking on the pathway of the blessed, the pathway of the happy. And yep, that is another reference to Psalm 1, and I'll link to that in the video in the description box below. But we do know that there will come a time when judgments will be pronounced, a time when all choices will be honored and no more choices will be able to be made. And God has said he will honor the choices that have been made by each individual. So, back to our question, is God really to blame for respecting and honoring the choices of the individual? Yes. For dishing out harsh, callous, and unusual punishments? No. See, what we choose comes back to us. So, if there must be some sort of blame assigned, the blame lies entirely with us. Well, what do you think of God honoring our choices? See, I would love to hear what you think, so please tell me in the comment section below. Also, if you like this video, please click that like and subscribe button. And then once you click the subscribe button, that little gray bell icon is going to pop up. Make sure you click on that as well. This will tell YouTube to notify you each Tuesday and Thursday when a new video is posted. Thank you. Well, until next time, love simply, love wisely, and love well. For that is where excitement and meaning dwell.